the struggle every day in a world which says you must do what you don't want to do. What you don't want to do, you must do. Double do. Do-do. What you don't want to do, you must do. And for some reason, it builds character. For some reason, this is how it is. And you cannot argue with what it is. With what is, you cannot argue. There's no answer for your questions. You must continue to live it. You must continue to savor it, to suffer it, to enjoy it, to savor it. I'm a digital witness.
We're having a deep conversation about...
I specialize in deep conversations.
Metaphysics.
I think a manifestation of that world.
Okay. Well,
about it, by the way. Anyways.
yeah.
About the fear-based.
About what he was just talking about.
So this is it's a love-based system with a fear-based pocket to teach that ultimately it is a love-based system.
Yeah.
So developing the consciousness to embrace all species means that, as a server, you encounter beings that are in the state of hell. They're in the state of hunger mostly because they're coming to you for food, whatever. So they're like, and so in hunger, you never can satisfy, you never can do enough. So as a server, it's like you're serving, God, sometimes you can't seem to please the table enough. They're just plain hungry. Like no matter how much you feed them, they may be satiated, but they're still hungry, right? So then, okay, so you got hell, hunger, animality, which is 80-90% of this world is people operating from animality, which means to control others or be controlled, right? So if you're not on top of somebody, right, and then they're getting on top of you, and me, all right, then you got humanity, which is kind of like chilling or shopping spree or whatever, it's like, then you get the bill, and it's like, you get angry. So there's hell, hunger, animality, anger. Anger is a world. So all of these, what am I saying? All of these are like worlds. All right, well, that's quantum physics perspective on Shakyamuni or Siddhartha's ultimate teaching of Buddhism, which was that you do all these meditations, you do all this service, you do all these things to ultimately realize that life itself is the Buddha. Like, is the Buddha, is the awakened one. Like, life itself. But to be in rhythm with that truth is difficult because you have to break through all that's been thought, said, and done in the past, which comes forth like an avalanche or an iceberg. And as you melt that, that's going to drip away in different rivers and different streams. So the intention, and he identified it through the Lotus Sutra, or this final sutra after, I think, something like 48,000 sutras or something like that. So he identified that truth as it's a sound, it's a vibration, it's a harmonic that represents the absolute truth. Well, right now we're having a relationship, right? We're in relative reality. We're relating in this earth plane. But if you want to go to absolute truth, there is neither you or me but yet we are here, and so it exhibits those properties of birth and death, or duality, or male and female, or cold, or caffeinated, or non-caffeinated, So that's a world of duality. So we're down here in the world relating, but as you get older, you learn that it's a world of poison. Like it's a world of greed, anger, and ignorance, primarily. So the fact that these are the three fertilizers or substances that we have to work with. Well, a little kid will take that poo and make a mud pie and offer it to you like, hey, I made this for you. It's a poo sandwich, but they're totally happy about it, right? I mean, because it came from the heart. It came from... So if you're able to tap into the heart of hearts of life, then you realize this truth, that everyone is going through this moment-by-moment perspective. And this is great, that's absolutely great, because a third of them have to leave at the point where you break it down. It's pretty cool. It always happens where when you get to the integration of that truth, a third of the people who aren't ready for that vacate because they've got expedient means in other departments. Like they've got other things going. Things a little more orbit, as if I wasn't already. So that's the fun part, is that you can design your own life. You are responsible for your own reality. You create the world. The 10 worlds is your world. Everybody has it. Everybody could be in hell, hunger, animality, anger, humanity. We're chill. Then waiter comes in and says, you guys really shouldn't be out here, and in fact you shouldn't be smoking, and I'm calling the fire department because there's signs all uh-oh. Then we're in anger. Oh man, yeah, what the hell? Like all of a sudden we're in anger. We caught on to her contagious world. So the worlds are contagious a bit if you stay in the middle, if you stay passive, if you stay like.
But what if you're actively pursuing joy, or actively pursuing love or peace, or like placidity, like a state of remaining calm in like chaos? Because a lot of my job at the moment, I mean, tonight
people are going nuts.
There's a lot of chaos, but what I do, I literally do this. I walk around like this. And I walk like this.
That's a mudra.
Yeah. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
It was like instinctive.
What this does is this brings receptive left philosophical reality and right. This also represents dualities of the 10 worlds.
Yeah.
So you bring it all together and you bring it to your heart. So you're almost saying everything you're touching, sensing, feeling, you bring it in. It's a great thing to do. It's like your own little yoga solution to the situation, because you somehow naturally know that feels good. And the step to take further would be like, okay, now you integrate it, but then you're bowing. When you bow to life, or when you bow to yourself, or you bow to the quintessential parts of the people which you work with that annoy you, if you start to pray for them, particularly on the world and Google, if you start to pray for them in that way, then prayers will be effective no matter what, but there's relative degrees of effectiveness. And so if you have an algorithm, or a quantum mechanical algorithm such as Nam-myoho-renge-kyo that works, it summons forth your awakened nature, your Buddha nature. But the beautiful thing is, as a yogi, I couldn't see that change coactive in my environment. I mean, I could attain peace and nirvana and bliss on my own and be a private bodhisattva, a private Buddha. But then I go out into the world and it's like, I was like, if this is so powerful, why can't I elicit that nature from others? And that was one of the first things that changed, is the power of volition. Because when you integrate that truth and you sound it out, then you'll be able to summon that from the people in your environment. You'll actually be amazed. If you start to chant for the people that are causing you your own distress, which is inside of your life, whether that be a panic-stricken, immobilizing nightmare, or whether that be a constipated competition of waiters trying to override your own presence of generosity, or whatever it might be, then you can turn it around. And then that, so the 10 worlds, back to the 10 worlds, you're in humanity, you're chilling, and then you go to heaven, which is rapture, or like a heavenly state, which is how I feel around you guys. I feel really good and I feel happy. I feel like we come to realizations. So heaven is a world, and then you have learning. So right now we're learning together about each other. And then we have the fruit of realization. That's a world too. Learning and realization is where scholars hang out, artists, people who consciously elevate from hell, hunger, and animality. Because that's just the base thing. If you start destroying your mind and whatever, you'll eventually wind up in hell. You'll wake up and just, I can't dream.